Real Business Owners.
Guys, welcome back to Real Business Owners. This is episode 14. Guys, we got an awesome guest for you today. His name is Jared Wheeler. Okay, he started a car dealership here in St. George, Utah, where we're located. He started with 5 cars. Now he's, gets all the way up to 250 cars on his lot at some times. Obviously, there's a little bit of ebb and flow, but man, he's an awesome guest. You guys are going to enjoy all the nuggets and the value that he brings to the table on this episode. And this episode, per usual, is brought to you by Easier Accounting. Guys, if you have any bookkeeping, tax prep, payroll needs, make sure you keep us in mind. And yes, we are a nationwide accounting firm. Enjoy episode 14. Guys, welcome back to Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 14. We got a good one for you today. It's Jared Wheeler. This individual has done what we've done, basically kind of come from nothing and built his business, and he's having a lot of success. So we wanted to bring him in and kind of hear his backstory and his upbringing and kind of how he's built what he's built. So Jared, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your upbringing, all that good stuff.
Oh boy. Okay. Had a pretty good upbringing.
Okay.
Good parents. I can't say that it was, rags to riches completely. Definitely had some struggles, all that stuff that normal people have.
Yeah.
But as far as the car business, I started it in 2009, so I was 19. So 10 years ago in November.
So did you actually start your car business 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Or okay,
yeah.
so
St.
did you
George.
have any experience prior to
Yeah,
that?
so I started working at a car dealership when I was 14, detailing cars and stuff like that. So
Nice.
and I've been around it for a long time. It was different back then. Even in my 10 years, a lot's changed. It's changed a lot in the last 2 years.
Oh,
so.
it's always evolving. It
Right.
always will evolve. That's just business in general, right?
Sure.
And those that don't evolve end up getting left in the dust.
Yeah, well, that happens. If you're looking at, you talk to other independent dealers right now and they say, oh, the used car market's dying. I mean, we're selling less and less cars,
Yeah.
which is completely not true. You
Yeah.
know, you have some heavy hitters like Carvana or Vroom or, any of these guys. And as long as you're following the trends and knowing what to do, we're selling more cars than we ever have and we're scaling still. But you can't do what you've always done. You have to be paying attention, so.
You gotta keep your ear, close to the streets and be on the pulse of
Sure.
what's going on. You guys have done a really good job of that. I mean, I can't turn on the radio without hearing you guys.
sorry about
No, you're good. No, you guys definitely have a whole different flavor compared to most radio type commercials, right?
Sure.
You guys do a really, really good job with that and definitely bring the energy. You could feel that definitely when you hear your ads.
Yeah.
So what was the a lot of people think that radio's dead, right? I mean, what's your take on that? Have you guys seen a pretty good impact within your business due to radio, or where would you credit, a lot of the
I would say,
success?
Marketing's hard in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I shotgun money all over the place. I don't know what comes back the best.
Yeah.
But especially in our community here in St. George, it's a little tighter knit community. People listen to it just to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like our branding and our strategy, I guess it comes down to how the car business used to be, like a sales process, say if you would be, you would meet and greet the customer and then you would identify their needs, like, hey, what kind of car do you need?
Like
and then,
SUV or
sure.
truck?
Like,
what are
okay,
you
how many
looking for?
people in your family
Gotcha.
and all those things.
Okay.
And then from there you would make a recommendation, right? Like, hey, based on your needs, I recommend this vehicle.
Okay.
And then you would, demo it, send them on test drive, try and get the sell from there.
Of course.
And you guys can sell not just locally though. You can sell people all. Do you mainly just Western United States or is it all over?
We ship all over the country. We ship.
Okay, so you actually ship too. Okay.
2 months ago to New York, all over the place. But what I was trying to say about how it used to be was you used to spend a lot of time building rapport with a customer.
Right.
You could find out, hey, what are you interested in? That way I can make a good recommendation. This is how it was when I first kind of started the car business. And it was really nice. You had a lot of personal interaction. You could build the rapport. You got to know them. There's trust in that relationship. And now what happens is everything's pretty much done online. So, a customer or client sees the car, they see it's the best price and it looks good, clean Carfax, all this stuff. They just show up to the dealership now with their phone and say, hey, I want to drive this car. And so my salesman say, okay, sweet, you know, and let me get a copy of your ID. I'm going to put you on a test drive. You have no opportunity anymore to build rapport or to get to know that customer because it's so... It's like transient. It's like you're just almost like a chauffeur to, okay, yeah, here, I'm gonna put you out on the drive. So when we're thinking about our marketing strategy, that's kind of what our goal was. Hey, I want people to know that we're just cool guys. We're just, you know, we're doing what we can. We're making sure we're the best deal. We do all this stuff. But if you listen to the other branding in town, it's, oh, we got a huge lot. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
so,
we've got X amount of cars to liquidate. Hurry,
oh,
come
you know,
on down.
I got to get rid of these 2018 late model. You know, it's...
Yeah, exactly. Every dealership has a bunch of cars to get rid of,
So
right?
people show up, they know what they want.
That is different, though.
You know what I mean? They've done their research. So it's not like you can... do you still try and train your sales guys to be like, dude, don't let them leave the lot? Because I know a lot of car lots are like that.
So it's different how like I run the business versus other car dealers, but like it's pretty sophisticated as far as I know all the competition for that exact car within 500 miles or nationwide, depending on how rare the car is.
Is that something that you guys do on every car, and it's like a requirement? Like I want to know what the competition is close by.
Yeah, not just on every car, but on every car every week or multiple times a week. Wow. The whole thing is if and it's funny, any of the big heavy hitters that are doing this sort of thing, we all kind of know each other and we're all bouncing, all right, there's $100 less from last week, and we're all competing on the same cars until eventually gets low enough, someone just comes and buys it, and then you're the lowest one.
Right.
So it's a sophisticated software that can pull every single listing, like if you will.
It's almost like an MLS type listing for houses, but they have that for cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and it's super sophisticated to where you can know, okay, this is what the target is on this car. This is where you should be if you want to sell it within 30 days or say 45 days. It gives you all these projections, and if you're paying attention to those, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, of course.
It takes hours and hours, but if you're willing to do it, then it's
then you should be able to be high up in terms of opportunity anyways.
Yeah, and then it all just comes down to buying, making sure you're buying at the right number, making sure your reconditioning costs are the right thing. You know, everything we've done to get to this point, it's kind of like you have to look at every process in your business. You know, in the beginning, it was buying cars at the auction and taking 2 weeks to get the car here because I didn't have a transport company. So we bought a transport truck, started a transport company, and that's cool. Now we can take loads of other people's cars as we go down or back and forth, so that helps.
Nice.
Then I get the cars within a 24-hour turnaround. A lot of times I can get my first load of cars that I buy online, pictured, priced, everything within 24 hours, which is a huge deal. Time is money in my industry. So then you go all the way through it, right? So from there, you need your own service department, right?
I was going to bring that up because you guys went from just kind of a smaller dealership, and then you're kind of growing. Then you've added the service center. Do you think that dealerships without a service center will eventually kind of, is that a big money maker for a lot of car dealerships?
Yeah, I don't know if...
that's what I've heard anyways. A lot of people are like, oh, here at this dealership, we make a lot of money off of the servicing and this.
And it's different if you're a franchise, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're getting money's being paid from, say, the franchise. Maybe like Toyota's paying you to do these recalls or whatever.
Yeah, they said they make a lot of money on the recalls.
Which is nice. So you get some stuff back. Then you build retention. If a person buys a Toyota, then... They can get a maintenance package and go back to the Toyota store to get oil change and stuff.
Yeah.
But for us, it's more, it's a profitable business, but it's not like off the charts or anything. It's more about controlling your time. I could do a lot better by getting my cars serviced faster and selling them quicker than me outsourcing that and saving the expense of the overhead. And there's always that limit of, before I had the service center, you were getting quotes. Hey, head gasket, or this, that, and the other tranny. And you don't know. Obviously, you try and trust the people, but there's no real control of if you're 100% doing what you need to every time. So being able to control that aspect, I don't know, it helps me sleep better at night, I suppose, knowing that I'm doing what I need to do, not that what someone's just suggesting I do.
Yeah. So with that, obviously, with how fast, you've grown pretty quick over the last, 3 or 4 years, right? Is what I've seen anyways, right?
Sure.
that means you've had to make obviously a lot of sacrifices, right? Like
Sure.
put yourself kind of on the back burner a little bit in terms
Sure.
of the big paydays because
Yeah.
you're always putting money back into your business.
I'm glad you bring that up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I got a lot of gray hairs for only being 29, so that's physically and mentally draining.
Yeah,
But a lot of
absolutely.
people, and especially your sort of audience, being a business owner looks a lot prettier on Instagram and
course it
Facebook
does.
and stuff than what the reality is.
Yeah.
And the money looks
Absolutely.
prettier on
Yeah,
Instagram
oh, yeah.
and Facebook. It's not all what it's cracked out to be that a lot of people think it is. Obviously, it's rewarding and it's challenging and it's kind of what I live for now. But
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of stress.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of trade-offs that I think that it's hard for people to understand or see, especially when you're trying to grow or scale. Right? It's you have to make everything's a chess game. It's
It
a chess
is.
game. Every
Absolutely.
move I make, especially once you start getting a lot of employees. We're just to about 50 employees now,
Wow.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
And every single decision I make every day is
You keep all those people
yeah.
in
Hey,
mind.
Yeah, I
and
got to
in
think
the
of them.
business
Think of
and
their
myself.
families. Think
Yeah.
about their house payments.
Yep. Absolutely.
And all the cars they bought or whatever
Yeah.
it is, which is fine. That's part of life, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely.
I can totally relate to that, man. Like that's always been one of my biggest stresses all these years. Is
Yeah.
like, man, am I creating enough leads to keep my sales guys fed? And then
Sure.
they got their families. Or man, when I have to let a guy go that just isn't working out, like first thing I think of is, dude,
Yeah.
man, what's this guy's gonna go through in his
Yeah.
family? But you don't do him any favors also by
by letting
keeping
them
them around if
yeah,
they're just
no,
being
but-
mediocre.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know if I was supposed to be born into this sort of lifestyle because I was I'm still a very empathetic person.
Yeah.
Never wanted to hurt someone's feelings or tell them no or whatever.
Try not to be harsh.
And that's hard to be that type of person the way I was in the first 5 years or so of the business. And then I was able to kind of change knowing exactly what you're saying. You're not, if a lot of times I know what the problem is or I know what they should be doing better.
Yeah.
And if I'm just letting go along with their life, am I really helping them progress in life if I'm not educating them or calling them out on it
Challenging
and
them,
letting them
You
know,
gotta
hey,
be
you
real.
got to step up or else I'm just enabling you to
be a shitty employee.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm not like
Yeah.
we had a really good friend that worked for us for a period of time, and he'd show up late and this, that, the other, and kind of taking advantage of the situation a little bit. And it is what it is, but. When I finally boxed his shit up and put it on his desk, so when he
Sure.
came in and he saw that and he was kind of taken back by it a little bit, but it was time.
Yeah.
Right.
One
And
of our best friends
it's
too.
one of our
Still to
that's
this
when
day.
it
yes,
gets hard.
he still is.
Family,
he
friend.
still is. He's still a good friend of ours, but
Sure.
and now he got a job. He was actually selling cars. Now he does finance. So he's
Sure.
on the back end where he's making some good money for himself. But if I wouldn't
him.
have let him go, he wouldn't have found that.
Exactly.
And he wouldn't be where he's at today. He would have just still kind of been riding the coattails and just cruising along. So sometimes you actually do people a favor
100%.
by giving them that wake-up call and smacking them in the face and say, hey, it's not working out. Eventually, they hear that enough, they're going to have to look internally and say, man, maybe it is me. Maybe I need to freaking figure this shit out,
That
Dude,
entitlement's a killer.
He actually called me just like last week.
Did he?
Maybe it's 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I was out all last week. So 2 weeks ago, he called me. I thought he was drunk. He's like, dude, I'm so proud of myself. I gotta thank you, man. Like always being real. You and Trevor. He talked about it when he used to work for us, how he was just being a piece of shit. And he's like, and dude, like I made 20 grand last month, and I can't believe it. I never thought I'd be able to do that, but I decided to go all in and quit being a piece of shit. And he basically said it was because of us. Like, dude, you guys didn't let me.
Just take advantage
keep getting
of the
by.
situation.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
It's if you look at it that way, like no one likes firing someone. No one
it's
likes
horrible,
having those
yeah.
hard conversations and calling people out. But that's kind of the role of a leader. That's the role of a business owner. If you can't do that when you need to, then you don't really deserve everything else that comes with it.
And your business will struggle.
Right.
Your business will
that's what I was
struggle.
gonna say,
If you
too.
can't pull the trigger when it needs to be pulled and take that thing around the barn, and put it to rest, then you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing the other employees any favors, because I believe that employees could push each other, right? So if you are constantly dropping off the bottom level type employees,
Sure.
you're actually making the entire group stronger, right? Because you're
Right.
only as strong as your weakest people. And if they say, oh, I see, so-and-so over here slacking off,
Right.
that gives them the free pass to slack off. And then that can be a cancer within inside of a company.
100%, and they pull them down. Those we call them the bottom 27%ers, like in my company. But
Yeah.
what they do is, no matter how good the day's going, whether you have a crazy motivating sales meeting
Yeah.
or something, they walk out of it, and those are the people that say, nah, we're not going to get any more leads because of the things they're changing.
Yeah.
And they try and pull down the rest of the company with you. And
Yeah.
those people, if you can get everyone else on board to be uplifted and move forward, they normally phase themselves out. I mean,
Absolutely.
if everyone's just jiving, you can tell who that person is in your workplace.
In your organization. Yeah, absolutely. So I try to, find 2 or 3 leaders with inside like a sales team or whatever, and then you use them as the example. So-and-so's been doing this consistently over X amount of time. That basically doesn't give you a free pass to only do X, right? And so and people like to be acknowledged, right? And so when they see a sales guy getting acknowledged month after month after month,
Sure.
like, man, I want to be acknowledged in front of the sales meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah. Recognition's a big thing, and that's one thing I'm not super good at as maybe an owner or whatever. But and I know that I can feel when someone needs that,
pat on the back.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I want it, However they're giving you that signal, and I need to slow down and remember to do that more. But that is good counsel.
No, yeah, we were at an event in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Was it last week or the week before?
Pretty.
And it's awesome up there. It was a good time, but. It was insane to be at the event and have them talk about the difference of, fear-based type leadership versus acknowledgement type leadership and bringing people up and having the positive environment. You seem like a very outgoing, positive guy. How much do you believe in culture within inside of your company and building that structure where everybody's a team rather than everybody working against each other? Because I sold cars for a minute and a car pulls up and I'm waiting at the front door to walk out, right? And then I see homeboy running out of the side of the building, running into the parking lot, and
That's
I'm just
up.
exactly. Everybody's trying to get everyone's stabbing each other in the back and trying to shortcut each other because that's just the environment that dealership created, and so it pinned everybody against each other, which wasn't a good environment or culture, right? And so tell us a little bit about how you've created such a positive environment and culture within inside of your business.
Yeah, that's kind of my favorite thing to talk about, really.
Yeah.
But before I say what we do and how we've kind of developed it, you got to think about how's that environment portrayed to your clients, right?
Yeah.
If that's the culture you created, where it's a dog eat dog, whoever gets them first, winner take all, like that whole mentality, your clients can feel that. The customer rolls up, they're scared. And in my industry, especially in my industry, is such a scary thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like being sold stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like going to Best Buy and seeing the little dude trying to sell me, and
What are you looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Easy, I know what I'm doing.
browsing, dude, but let me window shop.
Yeah, imagine trying to buy one of the most expensive purchases you're going to make in your life.
Yeah.
And you're all scared,
Yeah.
And then you got people running out the door fighting to
On the
talk to you.
side, running.
Holy
like
Toledo,
literally, I would
it's
watch
no
guys
good.
run up to the side, and their windows are still up,
Hey,
but they're
dude.
on the side of the passenger. Like,
No, seriously.
roll your window down. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I want to make sure I talk to you first. I'll put you in my CRM. I'll make sure I'm contacting you every day.
Exactly.
I'm sure you want to create a culture that's actually going to bring repeat business too.
Exactly.
'Cause even in the car industry, I know I've bought in like my last 8 cars from the same dude. So
And the best part about that is if you can create that, because it's stressful, it's hard car shopping, and it's stressful having to go through all the different stages again. If you can meet someone that you trust and you know, that makes your life so much easier. Hey, it's time for me to trade up. It's been 2 years. I'm going to call so-and-so, same guy that takes care of me every time, or whatever it is, right? But it changes the whole energy, if you will, of the dealership when the culture's right, when everyone's kind of vibing off each other and they're excited. There's nothing wrong with selling cars or making profit.
Yeah.
The way we do it's very, all the salesmen know that it's the best deal in 500 miles because they're trained to see our software and stuff. So it's a lot easier. You never feel that you're sticking it to someone because you know that they're getting the best deal that they could on this, right?
Feels good.
Yeah, so
they know they're not gouging people.
And then also how we take care of people after the fact. We have the warranty, and then anytime someone has a problem, hey, come, let's see what we can do for you. We got the service center. That's what's nice about having all the different aspects of this business. But you'll never, as a salesman, you're never afraid of walking into the grocery store and seeing someone you sold last month because oh crap,
better
so,
turn around. I'll get my
You're
milk
always
tomorrow.
like, hey, how's it going? Is everything good? And if it's not, no problem. Come see me. And so I think that when your employees have that backing, we're bringing on a lot of new people, so some people don't know it 100% yet, right? Where they have like all the confidence in the company yet, but all the leaders do. They've been there long enough, so it's nice when you know that, say, the organization is going to support you as an employee. If you say you're going to do something, we're going to honor that, right? I think it's easier to have a good work environment when it's like that, and it's not going to be, oh, I don't know how they're going to take care of this customer after the fact, right? Yeah. So, and I've always believed that. One, I just like doing that because that's how I am. I don't want to be I want to be the good guy. Everyone wants to be the good guy. I think
the good guy wins in the long run anyways. Yeah.
And then I think that the customers can feel that even without talking about it. You can feel when you walk into, a sales environment, if it's, these guys are legit and they take care of people, or these guys are dogs. They're just trying to get it, So I don't know. I'm a big believer in, how something feels. Everyone talks about
just vibing it.
Yeah, just vibing it. If someone comes onto the lot and they know that it's the best deal in 1,000 miles or whatever, because they've done all the research, that's how my industry is now. And they come and then it's that dog eat dog world. They get there and they drive the car, they know it's the best deal, but something just doesn't feel right because my salesman is like aggressively trying to sell me something. So they'll leave that day. If you have that type of environment, even though they knew it was the best deal, right? Because I'm scared to make the wrong choice.
Dude, I've done it. I've done it. Like, I tell our salespeople, people buy from people.
Right.
You know what 100%. I mean? And so, like, I might go in to get this exact car, and if I'm not vibing the salesperson and I just feel like that they're just a straight dog, just trying to hustle and sell me, I'll walk away from the deal. I would rather pay $500 or $1,000 more for a
better experience.
For somebody that I'm like, man, I want this guy to do good. Like
what's $500?
Yeah, exactly.
And people spend that on tires, or they spend that,
when you're spending 50 grand or 40, I would rather support somebody that I feel like I want to support and pay a little bit more rather than, reward this guy, this dog that's just barking at me like, holy shit, dude. Like, I already know I want the car. Like, chill out. Let me go through my, thought process here too,
Right. That's a big deal.
And so how have you been able to do that in terms of like create sales teams that, vibe well with each other, work well with each other so that feeling isn't there?
I mean, we have, a mission statement. We want to positively impact the lives of our employees and our customers, right? So both the people that are with us and the clients. And there's core values that are built into that about all the different things that matter to us. That's how we rate performance. If you go into a performance interview or to see where you're at, those are the values we measure.
It's not about the sales.
It's not about
sales. The core values.
Those
how well are you
happen.
Living up to it?
The sales, those things happen if you're doing the rest of the things, right? If you're following the rest of the core values, those things just come. So it's hard to only look at the result. You have to look at the, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it, almost more importantly first. You got to address that. And if all those things are good, then we can go into technique. Yeah, you're talking yourself out of a sale. They want it, and you're saying, well, come back tomorrow and we'll let you know if it works, then that's different. So you create it. We have sales meetings. We have all those uplifting things. It's hard to call them sales meetings when it's we're not talking, hey, this is how you're going to slam it to the person.
Rah.
Yeah, we're just kind of talking about the feeling. And then, like I was trying to say, the proof's in the pudding for the salespeople. If you tell them this is how it is, we're transparent, the customer's first, this is how we do business, and that's our interview process. I need to know who you are before you join the team, because if you're coming from another dealership and you've been trained just to like go get them, that doesn't work in our way. It just it doesn't vibe. We don't like it.
The core values that you have.
So you have to instill it, and then, like I was saying, the proof's in the pudding. You have to perform as an owner, as leadership. My leadership team has to be the good guy. They have to do the right thing, right?
Lead by example, that everybody can kind of follow suit.
You have to be able to see it to believe it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people have mission statements or whatever, and it's just kind of they have it just to have it for a website, you know, or whatever. And again, at the event that we went to, they talked about mission statements and core values.
Sure.
And they said, if anybody ever has a question, before they ever go to anybody, it's required for them to read the core values. And if they can't get the answer out of that, then there's a problem.
Sure.
So if you, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to understand the values. And so when you have that thought, like, man, what should I do in this scenario? And if it's put the customer first, you're just like, okay, I know what I need to do here.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, dude, I think that's awesome. Not a lot of people do like the core value stuff, the mission statement. Would you give that a lot of credit to the culture and what you've been able to build?
Honestly, we always had that. It was never put down on paper.
Gotcha.
I just implemented that. How long you been with us, Joseph? So probably like 2 years now. It's been like I wrote the whole thing, wrote all the different core values in a little paragraph about what they mean to me and the company.
Yeah.
But it was always there. It just never was written down. I'm a believer of your organization's never too small to believe those things and have those aspirations.
I agree.
But I've learned as your organization gets bigger, I touch less and less customers now, right? When I first started, I could interact with every single person that came onto my lot. They could get to know me.
Yeah.
They could see what I believed in and how I wanted to change the car industry, because I thought they were all dogs, like we're saying, right? And I had that passion, that belief. And now it's harder to, every time it gets passed down, say a leadership chain, I meet with my leaders every Monday morning, and then they go and spread out and do their meetings with everyone else.
Yeah.
But it gets diluted to some degree. And the whole goal is to try and keep it as strong as your original passion, your original, inspiration is. But to some degree it gets diluted, right? And I wish that I could still meet every single customer that comes onto the lot, or every customer that didn't buy even, because I used to be able to.
Yeah.
And if all I did was help you, maybe I didn't, in the beginning, I only had 5 cars in the beginning.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I didn't have the car that you needed, but I could pull up things on the computer. I could teach you how to buy. Hey, there's one here, there's one there. And I was part of it. And it was, I loved it. I loved educating and teaching people as I was learning.
Yeah.
Because I've been every day's learning, right? If you think you know it all, then
you don't know enough. I'll tell you this much right now. If you think you know it all, you don't really know that much, because the more that you actually start to know and the more you educate yourself, the more you realize that you really don't know that much.
Right.
Right? And it's almost like it's the same thing with money. The more money that I make, I end up surrounding myself in different circles, and I realize how much not money I have, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it goes with knowledge, it goes with money.
Sure.
And so guys, you're never gonna be so educated to the point where you just need to stop learning. You have to always be evolving, and part of evolving is that's self-worth, right? When you stop evolving, you become stagnant, and then you start getting depressed, or that's the fun part of life, is always learning something new and always challenging yourself. So
right. And staying humble about it.
Yeah.
I think the person that thinks they know everything is the one that finds themselves, the used car world's doing the same thing.
Nobody wants to be around the know-it-all.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No one wants to buy from a know-it-all.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's true.
In terms of what your goals are, like you're shipping, all over the U.S., all that good stuff. Is St. George, that's the only dealership that you have right now? Is that right?
Yep. So
and what's your goals for that? Are you wanting to expand and have? I mean, it is St. George Auto. So do you plan on trying to expand and go into different markets?
Yeah, brands. That could be that could transcend just the St. George area. Is that you?
Yeah.
I think that it was always when I first started, within the first couple of years, I thought the end game was getting a franchise, owning a lot of different franchise, dealerships, buying them, all that stuff. You can build a pretty big network if you have, big conglomerates of dealerships together, right? And it used to be more important to where, you couldn't get the same financing. Like banks wouldn't give you financing if you're an independent dealer. You couldn't get discounts. Say
So some of them cater to the bigger guys.
Yeah, and I'm sure they have matrices telling them, hey, 80% of our bad debt comes from independent dealer or whatever.
Oh,
I don't know
gotcha.
what the backstory
Yeah,
is, but I
exactly.
understand it a little better now. But after you get to a certain size as an independent, those doors start getting opened, even though they tell you, oh no, we can't. We don't take any independents. There's always a size where it's like, hey, we want you now.
Yeah.
So that's less on the pinnacle, I guess, and more so just kind of expanding what I have going. I like to diversify, like I was saying, expand the transport company, do all these different things. If you build all that network, if I had 15 trucks running, then I could just have a giant warehouse here. There is no need anymore to have a location in every prominent city because people are willing to get the car shipped. I mean, Carvana just has a giant warehouse that there's nobody really that goes on to the lot. You just buy it online, they ship it to you on a little flatbed, right?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that I'm trying to expand out of where I'm at. I love St. George. I think it's one of the greatest places on the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sell that too hard. Nobody else come here.
We're growing fast enough as it is. Stay where you're at, but you can still order a car from Jared.
I'll ship it to you.
He'll get
I'll
it
put
over
a little
to you.
St. George sand in the bottom. for
Yeah,
you or
exactly. We'll put some red dirt in there for you, a red rock or something.
Shipping doesn't affect the rates or the price of the car too much anymore then, huh?
Not too much. I mean, you can pretty much ship anywhere for like $1,000, even East Coast. So 300, 400, 500. What's that to have 2,000 off the car that you're buying?
Totally.
Right? So it works out pretty good.
Some people I've noticed even want to purchase from areas like this where it's not hardcore snow and salt and there's extra rust on the car and all that stuff. So you probably get people who are like looking for cars in our area.
Yeah, 100%. That comes down to buying. You want to make sure you're buying from the right places too. Like for me as a dealer, and then you can provide the right inventory to your clients.
Well, some people go even outside of 500 miles. Jeremy bought his Escalade in like Texas, and he flew to Texas. He got and then he just drove it back because it was $5,000 difference.
People will do wild things for not even $5,000, for $1,000 difference. Sometimes people will drive 12 hours, and that's cool. Do what you should do.
Make a trip out of it.
Yeah, come see Zion or whatever, right? So I think that as a business, like if we're talking to business owners and I was trying to give counsel like on where I'm trying to go, I think that a lot of people get caught up in trying to learn everything and copy everybody else and doing all this research, which is good, right? I like studying competition,
you like to know,
but at the same time, sometimes you gotta kind of pioneer your own way, right?
Absolutely.
There's some things that maybe you can come up with a better solution than there already is, right? And I think that's lost a little bit today. When I first started, there was no YouTube videos. You can go look up how to sell a car or how to be a car dealer. I was 19 years old. I was just
trying to figure it out.
Most of it was sheer dumb luck, in the beginning. But I was being smart about learning from each mistake, right? But there's some things that I think in this day and age you get so used to, what's the answer to this, or how do I want to do this? And you just instantly go look it up and you have the information. And I think that people are losing the skill of problem solving or coming up with different solutions. There's more than one way to skin a cat or whatever the old saying is, right? Yeah. If you instantly look up how to change your stereo on YouTube, you never learn that. I learned that as a kid by just unscrewing
it out.
things. Yeah. I cut that. What was that? I learned this, right? So I think that you have to be okay with making mistakes.
Yep.
And you have to be okay with admitting that you made a mistake. And you have to be okay with learning from that and being humble enough to do that part of it, right? But there's always a way to do something. The things that we came up with in my company, there was no buyer's guide. There was no manual to teach you, hey, this is how you
build
do
a dealership.
You have to identify your problems, and then you have to strategize how you can fix those problems. And then it's all about process, right? Everything's about dialing in processes and keep fine-tuning it till it's a well-oiled machine. It's all running on all, cylinders, and you're humming, right?
Yeah.
That's when things get good. And there's always going to be wrenches thrown in, and you have to be prepared for them, and you have to be okay with them because it's part of life.
That's just
right?
life and business, just in general. Like,
right.
I think the first 2 years is that's what it's all about, is just getting punched in the face, mistake.
Right.
And if you can last those first 2 years, you're going to be one smart,
earn some stripes,
one smart sucker, and you'll learn a lot of lessons within. Those first 2 years aren't that profitable. It's just education.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes, a lot of falling on your face, adjusting, adapting, and like you said, you talked about trying to be unique. Like you said you came from a dealership that was really a bunch of dogs or sharks just trying to get the sell, and you didn't like that.
Sure.
So you built something because you remembered the feeling that you had, right?
Right.
And one of the reasons why we own Easier Accounting is we had so many troubles dealing with accountants and CPAs. We didn't like the feeling that we got when we didn't get good communication, or if it wasn't affordable, or we couldn't get on-time P&Ls. And so we keep that close to heart, right?
Sure.
And so as we're building our company, we're going to say we're going to never lose the why in terms of why we exist, right?
Exactly.
Our job is to fill those gaps, fill the holes that we saw within the industry that didn't make us feel good. And so we can come in and be unique and different by filling in those gaps. And so I would wholeheartly agree with you to not look so much external if you're dealing with an issue. Kind of look internal and say, how would I want somebody to deal with me if I was in that situation?
100%.
And you understand how you would feel if you showed up, you did something, and people were like, okay, take your check, see you later. Mm-hmm. You're not creating a unique or different experience, right?
Sure.
And so not enough people think outside the box. Everyone's thinking inside of the boxes that have already been built.
Yeah.
And
they think about, a lot of people, I want to start this business because I want to make a lot of money. That's kind of the wrong place to start, And if that's your end goal, if that's your beginning goal and your end goal, you probably aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
You have to start with something more than just that. Making money is a result of all
having
the other things.
Passion. You had
all the
passion
other
when you
things
started.
you do, right?
Yeah.
And if money's the biggest factor, then you probably will make more money working for someone that's a good leader. If you want to change something or change the industry or even be a competitor in it, you got to have more than just wanting to make money.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. The first two companies I started were all about making money, man. Mm-hmm. And we made money.
That's the rage.
And
right?
we made money, but we also had a lot of hurdles that came.
A lot of tough times.
And I'm really grateful for those hurdles, because that is what helped me realize that, like, my real true passion is actually helping other business owners, man, like other entrepreneurs. And I would have never actually got to that point if I didn't have all the hurdles that we went through. We weren't willing to adapt and learn from our mistakes and things like that. But dude, I was a sales guy and I was providing for a family. And at the end of the day, like, the things that I started is because I wanted to make more.
Yeah.
But it also brought a lot of
and again, you
trial.
evolve as a business owner, right? Like, the fact that at first it was about money. I want to better my life, me.
Yeah.
That eventually changes, because once you start making money, that's kind of a hollow thing, right?
Sure.
Like, if it's just about money's not going to fill up your soul or it's not going to just give you passion, right?
Yeah.
And so when you actually start changing to impact other people and make a positive impact and have passion for what you're doing, you end up seeing far more results.
Well,
we're at now versus where we were when it was just about money. It's
weird, isn't
times 10, right?
It's funny, if that's not your focus, it doesn't mean that it doesn't come. But what it is playing chips to expand the game or whatever you view it as, right?
Exactly.
And it lets you bring on more employees, support more people, buy more inventory. You just gotta keep scaling.
That snowballs.
And if you can be smart like that and live humbly and smart, you can expand pretty fast. I have to attribute most of our growth to that. I haven't tried to.
You don't got a mansion on top of the hill within 3 years of owning a business. You don't have an airplane within 5 years. Like, what are you doing wrong, right? That's what some people think.
Exactly. And it's better this way. You stay more focused. I think getting early distractions all that stuff will definitely detract, from what your end goal is or what you're trying to do. If you're spending too much time doing things like that, spending money,
or if you overspend, then you have then you can't focus on the passion side and trying to make an impact because your overhead is so high as an individual that you stress about money at home. You take from the business. The business ends up basically being. Yeah. I mean, you're short-sighting yourself, right? From taking from your company rather than injecting money over and over and over and over back into the business. And I'm a firm believer of that. Yep. I still drive an old truck and still live in the same house that I bought 10 years ago.
Sure.
Right. But I'm okay doing that because I know the direction we're headed in and all those fine and lovely things that money can buy.
Yeah,
they're there.
Yeah, they're always going to be there.
Yeah,
there's always going to be a good deal.
The only thing in between me and that is just time because I feel like I'm on the right path, right? And when you feel like you're on the right path, then you don't have to rush some of those things.
Right, and you can make better decisions. It is all just a big game. It's a big chess game, and if you're rushing to make the quick buck, you're probably missing out on
patience game.
Yeah, I love when I have a sales guy or someone in our company do some of the things I did in my early days, and I can totally train them being non-hypocritical, be like, dude, you want to know why I know it doesn't work? Because I've done it.
Yeah.
And I can actually impact them in their sales game or whatever by saying, dude, I know what you did there. Like, I know that you didn't lie to the customer, but you let them believe something that maybe wasn't true. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because when guys are working on commission, like, dude, I've done all those things when I was a sales guy. And it goes back to what you're saying on feeling, man. Like, I've learned from that because it didn't feel good. And so I'm going to save you a lot of time and a lot of shitty feelings, and I'm going to help you correct it right now.
Do it right.
So some of that crap that I pulled in my early days, man, like, it actually was not only a good learning lesson for me, but now I can actually teach my sales guys how to do it right so we can maintain our culture and our core values and what we believe in. So, yeah, dude, I like where we hit on those.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good. Dude, I wanted to ask you about the Jeep giveaway. That was all over. What was that, last year? Or was it early this year?
No, it was last year.
Was it last year?
October? Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So Jared gave away a Jeep. What was it, like a $50,000 Jeep or something? I think it was what I was hearing all over the radio.
Yep.
How did that turn out? How was that? How did that come about? Did it do what you thought it would do in terms of just attracting business, or what was the main thing behind that?
Sure, that's a good question.
Because that's unique and different.
Yeah,
And
I've had a lot of people obviously ask me, was that worth it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can chalk it up to I got this many sales and this many leads.
Yeah.
But it was more of kind of a shock and awe campaign.
Yeah, of course.
I wanted everyone to know that we're here. And I built the service center earlier that year.
So I remember that. And you hung up the things on the service center. Huh?
Yeah. So it was a big deal of getting people to know and comfortable with us. I wanted everyone to see what we could do and meet the staff and stuff. That night when we did the Jeep giveaway, there was 300 to 500 people there or something. What would you say? It was so cool. It was so fun too, and we gave away. We gave away like $2,000 cash or something too and that girl was so stoked. She won it, and she was just like crying. I knew this so bad, and that was so awesome.
It feels good to give, man.
Yeah. And then when we gave the Jeep away, the guy, he had all his kids there, and his wife had to coach volleyball or something that night, so he brought 5 kids with him. I can't remember exactly how many kids, but they're all hanging on him, and he's like, I won, and he got in the Jeep. That was just fun.
Yeah.
So was it worth $50,000? I think so. I don't know. When it comes down to it, I have
certain things are immeasurable in business. You know what I mean? You just got to keep putting your name out there over and over and over and stay in front of people.
Yeah. And it's fun to do things like that, get people excited again. There's everything's so much about the bottom line, which I understand that better than most, especially when you start playing on such a big scale. Every day matters. You have to watch the numbers every day, but when you can, it's nice to do something fun, give back.
Sometimes those type of investments, man, are like, you do them because you want to do them. You do them because you're not looking for an immediate return. You're being authentic about that. But in the long run, it does come back. Because people feel that. And people are like, dude, I love this dealership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, out of those 300 to 500 people, maybe not 100 of them bought that month or that year even. But over the long run, dude,
6 months later or a year later, you never know. I always say the work that you put in now will show face in a year.
Sure.
You know, it's usually just never an immediate immediate result. But so you started with 5 cars. How many cars are you guys up to now?
So we sell quite a bit of cars. So we float in between 175 when we've sold a lot of cars that week to like 250. And then so everything's kind of, I have a staging lot where transport drops them off.
Yeah.
You got the whole lot tech team runs, grabs them, brings them to service, takes pictures. You know, we
Check
do
'em
all
out.
the things. Yeah. So it just floats around there. I'm trying to get
awesome.
up to 300, and it's super hard. Like just to keep up with how many cars we're selling. So I'm
What's the
trying
hard
to.
part to keep, like, in terms of bringing new inventory,
Yeah.
constantly keeping your eyes on
We have
more
a
and more
super
and more?
strict buying process
Process.
because
Because you want quality.
yeah, and time, right? So without getting into too much of
Yeah,
the minutia
course.
of my
Yeah.
business, but this is good to understand, break down.
Yeah.
If other business owners are listening to, you have to think about all the different processes. Everything that we wanted to do that changed how we're operating is time, right? In my world, we're always beating the clock. If the car books for 14,000 today, next week it could be 13,700, right?
Because everyone's reducing their prices too.
That's just everything's depreciating, everything's going, and
Yeah.
you have to be competitive. So if you can buy a car, get it for sale quicker than your competition, you're ahead,
Yeah.
right? To some degree, and you can make maybe more profit.
Yeah,
Depends,
that's true.
but the quicker you can get those things, the better. So when I'm buying cars, you're trying to buy things that aren't going to take a lot of time in reconditioning, right? If I have to totally rework a hood and paint it, and it's going to be out in paint for 2 weeks,
I don't see any hoopties on the lot when I drive by. You guys
right.
seem like you guys have a lot of clean cars.
Sure,
you know?
and that goes with buying smart first,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
the first start. Like when we talk in leadership meetings, that's always phase 1. That's where the story starts. If you buy the wrong inventory, it's extremely hard to sell. You're going to sit on it. It's going to age. You're going to have to take a loss on that, or however it goes.
So when you take a loss, that just means sending it back to the auction and taking a $500 or $1,000 hit on a car sometimes.
Yeah, or just lowering it to so low that someone online is just like, yo, I'll go buy it up. But you could still lose money.
Yeah.
When I first started, I still have a lot of old car buyers, not old like age, but like from the old ways, come in, want to negotiate all hard. There isn't $4,000 spread in cars anymore.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone listening to this believes me on that.
Yeah.
We're selling cars at $300 profit sometimes, maybe $800 if we're lucky.
Yeah.
I'm averaging less than $1,000, and that's selling sometimes $50,000 units. You know, to put $50,000 of my own money out and then only make say $800. That's not that great of a return. So you're playing this game of just trying to refine your buying process over and over again until you're getting cars that move quick, are the most profitable for what they are, and you keep going. That's the whole thing. If you're holding out for, I buy that $50,000 truck, it books for 60.
Yeah.
Oh, I can make 10 grand on this thing, right? Well, you're gonna sit on it for 120 days, and then that book that was $60,000 now is 49.
Yeah.
And now you just lost $1,000 where you could have made 500 or 800 bucks, right? So
very fast if you would have just priced it right out of the gate.
Right.
What's the soft spot? I would say maybe in the car dealership world. Is it like the best cars that move? Is it like a $20,000 to $30,000 range because of the average income? I've heard that some dealerships don't like the high-end cars because they sit there for a long time because there's less high-end buyers, right?
Right.
And then you've got the buy here, pay here's that do the $3,000 to $5,000 cars, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not over there selling Lamborghinis, but you're not selling buy here, pay here $3,000 cars. So, you've got a great looking lot. All the cars look basically brand new when you drive by, So, you guys do a great job of how you have your lot set up and how the cars look, all that stuff. I mean, when I drive by, I'm always peeking over and seeing the inventory and what you got.
We'll hook you up, you know what I mean?
You get some Teslas over there and all that.
We like Teslas.
So
that's my best reconditioning. Like I look at all the numbers, and I don't even have to change oil on a Tesla, obviously.
Yeah,
It's an electric car. So if you look at average reconditioning, my Tesla's tires is pretty much the only thing I have to do, maybe control arms or something like that. But they're super low recon, which helps get them out quicker, helps the bottom line, all that stuff. But Yeah, I think that the best inventory is just the one that moves the quickest, whether it's a $10,000 car or a 30. It just depends on what competition is. That's how I'm not saying that's, if any other dealers are listening, do you, because I'm not doing I don't know the right answer to that, but what we're doing is I just want to make sure I'm the best deal. And that's, most of the time it's the best price, it's the lowest price, right? But sometimes the best deal is not necessarily the cheapest price, it's the best value, right? If a car's got 150,000 miles and it's only $8,000 versus mine has 80,000 and it's 10, what's the better deal? That's where I'm trying to fit into the puzzle, right?
So you're not necessarily looking at a specific price point. You're looking at competition, being competitive with your pricing, all that good stuff, and trying to make money in volume rather than, gouge 10 people a month and try to make the same amount of money versus selling 50 cars in a month and making your profit.
It's better this way. I can pay, the salesman can make less commission, if you will, like because we're doing more sales, right? So you're not trying to rip anyone's throat out or whatever, and we're just doing volume. Everything starts changing when you get to that point as far as how the lenders look at you. I can get deeper deals bought, people with credit that I couldn't have ever got bought outside. Now we do,
Some
50 deals a month with this credit union. Hey, I'm going to give you a couple, and so it's, I don't know, it's there's a lot of things that start going into it. You got loan to value to consider on the cars. You want to know how much spread you have in them just to get people financed. First time buyer cars, they want to be, within 10 years, under 100,000 miles. So you're constantly kind of juggling your product, my inventory. I want to know how many I have in each category. I want to know, am I super heavy on 30,000 and higher units right now? I want to have lower than that. I have a certain amount of number.
It's almost like an internal portfolio that you have of price points and stuff, trying to make a lot of options available to anybody that comes in.
And I try and keep track of all the analytics of, hey, this sort of car sells every time within 20 days if I'm at the right price. Well, then I can lower my profit if I know I'm going to sell it within 20 days.
Pushing quick,
right? Yeah, because it's low risk. Hey, I'm only on my money out there for 20 days versus 120 days, where I could do a lot with my money.
That money over and over and over. If you're selling the car that pushes in 20 days, you can sell that 4 or 5 times over rather than sitting on one.
Right. And I took more market share. I gained more customers. They get used to using the service center. The story just works.
Yeah.
And it works better that way when you're giving good deals, good value, all that stuff.
Would you advise maybe a smaller dealership to evaluate whether or not they should bring in a service center in terms of, one, being able to get more customers in terms of selling cars, as well as maybe an additional revenue piece? Or, is there a right time to think about that? Is there,
I would be, I would evaluate what your goals are, because as far as profitability, I could probably have been just as profitable keeping it on a smaller scale, less employees. Right now, the service center's overhead's huge, right? But it's a huge, it brings in a lot of revenue, but it's still a huge overhead. So if you're looking at profitability and all those things, if that's kind of what is driving you, especially in the early days, right? That's a big deal, having cash flow. I would make sure. No, I would try and get there if your goal is to be doing a volume. But if you're just trying to keep overhead low, I just want to do, sell 20 cars a month. I want to have 2 salesmen and me.
Which is fine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, sometimes small and profitable is good.
Sometimes that's the better way to go, and it's less stressful. Stress. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You instead of having to figure out, $200,000 worth of expenses that you got to figure out in 7 days. You only have $2,000 of expenses. You can deal with that. But when you're on a huge scale, that's stressful.
A lot of moving parts.
It's so many moving parts. So I would just counsel in any business, not just my industry. Grow as fast as you can control, because if you're growing, it's always good for expansion. It's always good for growth.
Sometimes quality goes down though with growth.
You have to be able to control every aspect, and that happened to me. I grew when I built the service center. When I expanded, I have the 3 different locations. The one is where we house all the cars. It's hard to control that many moving parts unless you have the right leadership in place to do it. And it was tough 2 years ago when I first did that. And I was stretched so thin. I don't know looking back at it now, yeah, I'm glad we did all the things and I did that, and now we're here and I feel so much better. But in the moment, I was like, no, I want to go back. I want to go back to when it was just me and a couple guys.
Let's tear down the service center. That's going to be more room for cars.
Yeah.
We're just going to just.
So I don't know. I would just be smart about expansion
of your goals.
Yeah. Just know what you want to do. If that's the game, then
play it.
Then play. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough.
No, I agree.
We're about 55 minutes, by the way, guys.
Okay.
Nice.
Perfect.
So just to kind of wrap up here, any advice to somebody that either wants to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, or a young entrepreneur and business owner, you know, that might be going through some of the struggles? What would you say to somebody like that? Maybe what would you hoped somebody would come to you on year 1 or year 2 and maybe drop a nugget to you and say, hey man, you know, you're gonna deal with a lot of shit, but you know, what would you give in terms of advice there?
That's a good question. I think if we're talking about a young entrepreneur trying to start something up,
and I don't mean young as in just an age, I mean just in the entrepreneur, new to the business game.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be 50 and start a business, but
young is all relative,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, I feel 60, so whatever.
It depends on the day, right?
Exactly.
So,
especially on wakeboarding or something. So I would say, like, I don't really do social media and all that stuff. I'm just trying to get into it. Again, I got a marketing director that's counseling me to do those type of things, right? But when I first started in all this time, now that I'm on there, I don't know if it's always been like this, but how many things are flooded at you saying, hey, listen to me, how I can tell you how to make money real quick, bam, boom, bam, whatever.
Yeah.
I see that, and I don't even look for it. It's just in my face.
All the time.
And I've watched maybe 5 of them, like since I've been like on social media, just in the last 2 weeks, you know?
Right.
And they're such a joke. Don't listen to
the
guys trying
talkers,
to don't listen to guys trying to sell you some marketing scheme. Listen to real people. Yeah.
Get rich quick bull crap.
Yeah. Find mentors in the field that you want. Study mentors in the field that you want. If it's a car dealership or if it's a retail store or whatever you're trying to do, find out what the competition is out there and see if you can make it better. Because if you can't make it better, that's a hard road.
Yeah,
You can do it, but that's a hard road is what I'd say. So make sure you're starting your business or your goals with the right mindset. Like we were saying earlier, if it's just to make a lot of money, I would check that before you go like borrow money from family or whatever you got to do to start it, because you're starting in the wrong spot. If you're finding a problem and you want to create a solution for that, that's a nice place to start. Then find out what your competition's doing, and then figure out how you can do it better. And like I was saying, there might not be YouTube videos or how-to tutorials of how to do something better, but listening to things like this that are uplifting, and because there are hard times, and I love being inspired. It was more for books for me back then, but you know, YouTube or podcasts, all the new stuff that the youngins are doing or whatever are out there, that's all good, but don't listen to fake people just trying to sell you on something.
Yeah. That's such great advice.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, it really is. I mean, books are still great too, but I mean, honestly, that's just such great advice to finish up the podcast. But if you haven't pulled a ton of great nuggets out of today's conversation from you, there's a lot of great insight in there for any business, not just the car business.
Would agree.
So I super appreciate you.
If you didn't
coming
pull
on
any
and sharing
nuggets
today.
off of this, now when it finishes, go hit replay and actually listen.
Yeah.
Because you'll definitely
listen
find value
and hear,
in the podcast.
right? Like really take it in. There's a lot of great nuggets in there. So
guys, I know for a fact you enjoyed this episode. Jared did a great job and brought a lot of value. Make sure that you guys take a moment, leave a review. Check us out on YouTube. We did get that YouTube channel set up about 2 weeks ago. We see some subscribers, coming through, but we definitely want to make sure that you guys get a visual for the people that want to watch the videos versus just listen to them. And make sure that you tell a friend or a family member about the podcast. And anytime that there's something that's positive or something that impacts you, you should be on the top of a mountain, yelling it to anybody and everybody. You should be an individual of impact. And the way to do that is when you find something that brings you value is to talk about it with other people. So guys, hey, kick ass. Have a good rest of your day.
Before we finish,
Kel's going to drop something.
Jared's a super solid dude, man. So if you're looking for a car and you want it shipped to you,
No,
and
yeah,
you want good cars
where
from a
would they
good
find it?
area, like I want
St.
him to know how to
George
find
Auto
you,
or
man.
what?
And go support his social media. If he's starting to jump in and market
Follow
yourself
me.
on social media,
I don't know if my life's interesting, but I'm happy to have followers or
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Where would they
Yeah.
find your guys' website if they wanted to check out your inventory?
It's stgeorgeautogallery.com is our website.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, I like to throw those plugs out in our show because
Dude,
we
I
only
forgot.
bring solid dudes on here. And at the end of the day, like,
I'm
dude,
not a pro at this. This is episode 14. You know,
Well-
Kel came in with the save. you
Well,
know?
dude, I mean, honestly, if you're in the market for a car and you want something quality, like we said, we see
Dude,
good
it is.
cars over
There
there.
is
So
great
check
cars
them
over
out
there.
because they can ship to you, and you could probably save a little bit of dough.
Sure.
So,
Appreciate that. Thanks
Yeah,
for having me,
absolutely.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you can kick ass and have a good day. All right.
take
Be
care.
good.